Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish, where we find out how to put together programs, products, services, and quizzes and bring everybody, your ideal audience, into your world. I invite you guys to go over and check out our quiz at promoteprofitpublishquiz.com. That's www.promoteprofitpublishquiz.com. So today it's just me, no guest. And I want to talk about something we just saw out in the marketplace. So we have a lot of speakers out using Quiz to Qualify, our platform that captures the room and helps you determine who is ready for sale today and who needs nurturing and who doesn't. And for those of you who don't know how to work, we have a proprietary assessment platform that actually sets up success principles and allows your audience to be able to gauge where they're at in relationship to what success looks like. And so this has been a really big seller for speakers because it allows speakers, authors, coaches, and speakers to not only get into the finiteness of what their ideal consumer looks like, because that consumer is telling them over and over where they're struggling, who they are, and what they're doing, but it also is a lead generation system because we have questions on there that determine high, medium, and low commitment level. So this is really important for a lot of people out there who are struggling, especially coaches. I hear over and over that, I talk to people all day long and they can't afford my system. So it helps you determine who you talk to today, because remember, when we're selling, whenever we're in a position where we're convincing, we've already lost the sale. We have to be able to build a relationship and nurture these people into that sale. So what we've been seeing in the marketplace with it is we've recently had some very large paid speakers use the platform. And one thing that really stood out for us was that they got really great results. One of them, just to give you an example, was in a room of 70 people. 61 people took the quiz. And mind you, we actually used the quiz as a replacement for a lead magnet. The reason we do that is that old paradigm of a lead magnet does not give us any consumer information. We have for a very long time considered a lead magnet an exchange of information. I'm going to give you my piece of genius, which may be, a blueprint or an ebook or a video series, in exchange for an email address and your name. And unfortunately, because not as many people are opening email as they used to, the rates are going down lower and lower. We're not really connecting with those people and building personal relationships. Using the assessment platform in the right way is a replacement, because people actually get to see where they are in relationship to what success looks like, and you get patterned information about your consumer, as well as lead generation, leading to actual conversations to build relationships. So I digress. We're going back to our latest client who used this system with a lot of success. About 70 people in the room, 61 people took the assessment. It's a 2 to 3 minute experience. And then of those, 48 of those 61 identified themselves as high commitment and really struggling and needing help. So what that meant was that there was about 85% of the room, that 80 to 85% of the room that actually identified themselves as high commitment. That's a pretty high level. Usually we see around 30 to 40% identify as high level. From there, 15 people scheduled that appointment on the spot. And then the sales team followed up with the other 33 that were high commitment, and were able to set appointments with a significant number of those as well. So the whole point of this is to create that shift from calling an email a relationship to actually starting to have conversations. Imagine if you were, I like to liken marketing to dating. Imagine if you were dating and you emailed back and forth for, 6, 7 months, years even, or it was a one-sided email. You wouldn't really call it a relationship. However, when you're having conversations, when you're talking to people and actually finding out their wants and needs, then a relationship can actually start. So what we noticed from this and 2 other of the speakers that we that have really terrific results lately was that they weren't really able to get into the enrollment conversations. And we noticed this last year and started teaching it in our course, but for these particular speakers, these were done for you who hadn't gotten in to that actual enrollment conversation. So I want to talk a little bit today about enrollment conversations and why they're so important and how we really put them together in a way that is meaningful for the person on the other end of the line who's really struggling. And I want to start that conversation with really getting clear on one of the mistakes that one of our people made. In a 30-minute conversation, he spent the first 10 minutes establishing his credibility. Well, the truth is he's a very well-known speaker. He's in the Speaker Hall of Fame with the NSA. So for people who signed up, they already saw him speak. They knew he was credible. So that was something that he didn't need to spend 10 minutes doing. He could actually go into what I call AAA skills. So the conversation would look something like welcoming that person to the call, thanking them for their time, you know it's valuable, and then getting into the AAA skills. What I call AAA skills are active listening, asking powerful questions, and then affirming and acknowledging. This is all really important. Unfortunately, with all of the chatter and devices we have out there, on our desk on a daily basis, I have an iPad, I have 2 computers, I have a phone. It's hard to engage in active listening, especially if you have people coming through the door too. You have a staff like I do. So what you want to do with active listening is, first of all, spend 100% of your focus on the prospect. No outside distractions. The second thing you want to do is really listen to beyond the words, hearing what they're saying. A lot of times what is coming out of someone's mouth is not really the underlying problem. And that's where we're going to get to asking powerful questions. And the more you do this, the more you will know exactly what questions to ask, because you'll start to see reoccurring patterns here as well. There's almost code for I don't have money, or code for it didn't work because I wasn't present to the conversation or wasn't present to the group. And by the way, I do want to mention that too. We've had a lot of our clients kind of beating themselves up lately because people pay for their program and then they don't show up. It's pretty common, and it shocks me. It always shocks me that people pay several $1,000s to be a part of a program and then not be fully present to what they're there to learn inside the program. So listen for those words inside of there, because this is as much, in a good enrollment conversation, is as much about you choosing them as them choosing you. So let me define that for you. You choosing them means that you go from powerless, I need money, to powerful, I'm going to take the right clients. I'm going to take the clients that are enthusiastic. I'm going to take clients that are doers. It really puts you in a much better position to serve your people. And then as a part of this process, resist the need to comment. Comment as little as you can. We don't want any judgment here, because we want this person, as part of the enrollment conversation, to feel very supported in this prospect. So what this also does when we're actively listening is it allows the prospect to feel that their feelings are being respected. And it gives you a chance to find out what is really going on. Why weren't they successful with that last coach? Or why isn't what they're doing working? A lot of times when I talk to people, I can ferret out right away that what they're doing is task-oriented. It's not authentic-oriented, which what I mean by that is they're not showing up authentically in the world. They've read a book that tells them to do A, B, C, and D, and it's the way they're doing it. They're doing all the right things, but they're doing them wrong, kind of looking for love in all the wrong places. And then be sure that you let them share more. I think this was one of the big mistakes that the person I was talking about that sold himself for the first 10 minutes did is there needed to be more sharing on the prospect's part and less sharing on the business owner's part. So what we're really doing here is kind of threefold. we're allowing the prospect to stay in their pain a little bit longer. Remember, selling is emotional. So we want them to be, the prospect to be as emotional as possible. And by doing that, we have to allow them to stay in that pain, to kind of sit in it, if you will. We want to be taking active notes, because when we're done letting them stay in their pain for a few minutes, we're going to reframe the problem back to them and make sure that we heard the right problem when they were speaking. And then if we do all this, we want to keep the conversation uncluttered. I know for many of you, you've probably, just like me, gotten someone on the phone for an enrollment call, and boom, 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 they're everywhere. So be sure that you keep people on track and really keep that conversation uncluttered. And even maybe take a minute and point out, we're going off in many different directions here. Can you succinctly explain this to me? So what are these prospects to the benefits to the prospect? That's what I really want you to get out of the enrollment conversation, is what's in it for them. We want them to feel heard and understood, because somewhere along the line they haven't been. We want to know from them in their own words what's working and not what's not working. And we want this to be able to deepen the trust and connection with us. So it's a two-way street. One of my good friends, Tina Greenbaum, shared with me recently. She called me right after a call, and she was so frustrated. She had a 30-minute call with a guy, and he literally didn't listen, didn't find out what the problem was. Within 15 minutes, he was into his sales pitch, and she was just exasperated because he didn't listen at all. He had a one-size-fits-all solution. He didn't act like he cared. He almost sounded desperate in that attempt to just get in there and sell something. So that's really, really what we want to avoid. We want to be able to take control of the conversation and lead them back to clarity. So the second part of this is asking powerful questions. And I know for a lot of people, it's really hard to ask these questions, because I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we don't want to know the answers. That's why we don't ask, or we don't ask questions around money, because we're afraid people are going to say no. So what we want to do in the ask phase of this is we want to ask powerful questions. We want to be really curious. And what's really important is we have the quiz, the assessment in front of us. We want to ask questions around that and refer to it, refer them back to their answers on the quiz. So as we're doing all this, when we're listening to them, we want to be able to uncover as much as we possibly can, because what we're really looking for is twofold. We're looking for underlying clues about why things aren't working for a prospect, and we want to also be listening to our intuition. Are we getting a line of BS? Are we getting someone who's truly, truly in pain with their process? So here's an example of what you could say. So let's dive into your assessment. First, I'm curious about, you said that on your assessment that you are, and then go into whatever area there that they were lean on, that they weren't doing so well on there. You could also say something like, looking at the results, I can see that in the area of funnels, you scored yourself really low. What are your thoughts about that? Why do you think that hasn't been working for you? And then, of course, give them time to articulate that answer to you. You also can say something like, if you had some clear steps and support, what would enable you to turn those areas around? What do you think the impact of that would be? This is a very important question, because we want them getting from where they are today to where we can take them in their own head. So super, super important step there. And then the last step of this is to affirm. We want to be able to affirm their answer. First of all, it builds self-worth. Remember, when we have this assessment in front of them, we don't just want to go to those areas where they're not doing well. We want to congratulate them on the areas where they have done really well and where they have lifted themselves up. We want to be able to lift them up as well. The second part of this is we're affirming the prospect's desires to work with you. when we're able to listen and make them feel seen and heard, this allows some special and unique feelings to develop for them. This is someone who actually cares about their success. Now, let me have a caveat here with that. When we care about someone's success as a coach or an author or speaker, we can't care more about their success than they do. And I run into that a lot, and it is so painful for me because I'm a fixer. I just want to fix everything, but I can't fix that other person's desire to not move forward. So that's what I really wanted to talk about today are getting those first steps out there where we're really able to elevate and make people feel like we hear them, we see them, we feel their pain. I can make a Bill Clinton joke there. I think that was from the Bill Clinton days. Oh, I feel your pain. But that's what we really want to do with people, because until we can bring the emotion into our marketing and into our sales conversations, we're not going to be able to move forward. Now, let's talk about another piece of this as well. I'm a firm believer of karma. So I know I just got all woo-woo on you. Like, I'm from California, even though I don't live there anymore. So, karma's like a thing there. Karma, when you are out listening to other people's sales enrollment conversations, be very clear. Listen very carefully to what they're doing. You can pick up a lot of hints. But even better, be very clear at the end of the call on what your answer is. Because I truly find when I am clear with other people, when I'm not wishy-washy, when I'm not giving excuses, that I start to get those same responses back. And so keep that in mind when you're on an enrollment call where someone's trying to enroll you. Be clear, be concise, and tell them exactly what's going on for you. And if money's an issue, tell them money's an issue. If time is an issue, tell them time is an issue. And then if it's something you're truly interested in, give them a time frame to call you back in. But don't just give them that time frame just to be wishy-washy. If you truly think you'll be ready in 4 to 6 months, tell them, I think I'll be ready in 4 to 6 months. Would you put me on your calendar for a call back? And then be clear on that's your goal with them. So thank you so much for stopping by today. I love that you guys listen. We are picking up listeners all the time. And again, I invite you to go over and take the quiz. We have more and more speakers signing up on a weekly basis who are finding that this is really a true lead capture that not only helps them, but it helps the prospect as well. And you can go see a sample of it. I'm going to send you to 2 places today, www.promoteprofitpublishquiz.com. Or if you want to see one that's more in alignment with the lead generation piece, go over to www.leadlogicquiz.com. Have a beautiful day.